Dear all, today we're going to discuss the tutorial questions that you did yesterday. First one is about definition of macroeconomics. For the definition of macroeconomics, no matter which type of definitions or for English terms, okay, I told you before, or another group I haven't tell you is you must have a subject or an object, okay, and then you describe the terms. So let's start with defining macroeconomics. For macroeconomics, basically it can be defined as a study that analyzes the decision making of government or a country as a whole. Decision making of what? Please type in the Microsoft Teams group. Okay, I will give you the answer when I'm replying. Okay. So the second part being the differentiation between macroeconomics and microeconomics. I will have to teach you how to write a proper essay, although this is only a 4 marks question, but you might encounter this in 6 marks or 9 marks questions. So to write an essay, there are a few things you need to take note. First one is we must have definition. Okay, every essay starts with a definition. Because we are partial art, partial science, so definitions actually basically limit the scope that you need to explain. Okay. Second thing, we will have to give explanation. In economics essay, explanation is a must. Okay. What is explanation? If you Google explanation, or maybe you just Google explanation and tell me in Microsoft Teams what is explanation. Okay. And what's the difference between explain and discuss? Because this is basically the two main types of question in economics. Okay, please tell me that in Microsoft Teams chat. So the third thing being you must have diagrams. This is the science part of the economics. Partial arts is for explanation, theory part. Diagrams, tables are all the science part, which is the to prove what we say is correct. So diagrams, most of the chapters or sections we will have diagrams, so you need to give some diagrams to prove what you are writing is correct. Okay. The next one is examples. For all the essays, you need to give a lot of examples. Okay. If you cannot come up with a lot of examples, at least come up with some examples or one example. And if the example is not in reality, also never mind, it must be a scenario-based example. Okay, you will learn through all these examples later on. So, the last one being the link back to the question. A lot of students, when they write essay, they sometimes write out of topic. For example, when we talk about For example, when we talk about the economic growth cause, they talk about pollution, then the first paragraph they talk about air pollution, second paragraph they talk about noise pollution, the third paragraph they talk about the water pollution. All these are more towards English essay. What we want is you link back to economics. So for me, I will just give 1 point if you only talk about pollution, okay, and so on. Okay, link back. Especially when you have a case study, you have to link back to your case. Use your case as your example. This is how you link back. So together I call this model DDL. Okay. If you were to write essay, please write the DEDL beside somewhere so that later on you can refer to and you know which one you lack of, and then you can extend your essay. Okay. So now let's use this DEDL model to explain the difference between macroeconomics and microeconomics. For macroeconomics, first thing we start with definition. Okay, so the definition is already shown there. So how you start? Macroeconomics can be defined as, still I'm going to cheat the answer first until you give me the correct answer. Okay, and for microeconomics can be defined as a study that analyzes the decision making of households and firms to do what? Same thing. So please type in your comments to do what? Okay? Otherwise I will not give you the answers. Haha. Third thing being diagrams. Second thing being explanation. After you give definitions are usually in the first paragraph of the essay. Okay? So for the explanation need to go both ways. First thing what you need to do is to explain the definition. Second thing is to explain the diagrams, but because we don't have diagrams, we will just explain or extend the definition. Okay, how do we extend the definition? For macroeconomics, after you write the definition is usually one sentence. This means what? Okay, so this means what? This means, please type your comments in the Microsoft Teams. Okay. Macroeconomics looks at a bigger picture. If you don't know how to write this means what, please refer to the paper that I gave you. Okay. So what about microeconomics? This means what? This means microeconomics looks at a specific or individual units. Okay, so at least you have some explanation on your definitions. And then you have to give examples. So examples and explanation usually is in second paragraph onwards. Okay, so my explanation is just for definition, but if you have a diagram, you have to start from second paragraph. So diagrams are put here, starting from second paragraph. Same for examples. Okay, examples should not put in the first paragraph. Otherwise, your essay will look not professional. Okay, otherwise not professional. Why not professional? Basically because you have nothing to write. That's why you give examples. Okay. So how do we link all these things? Examples usually we have few terms to use. For example, for instance, such as lights. Okay. Structures and light are usually for short examples. For example and for instance are usually for long scenarios. This is how you start your sentence usually, right? So structures are used small letter method. Okay? There are a lot of ways to link your paragraph to paragraph. So in order to link your paragraph, usually you use and. There are too many and. Okay? In professional or formal essay, you should not use so many and. You have to change your words. Like, moreover, furthermore, in addition, additionally, besides that. Okay? And if you want, you can also continue on the example here. If you want one example for this is, okay, another example for this is. All these are for you to link your examples or either for your essay. Of course, we have more terms, okay, to use. This is for you to link from one point to another point that's the same point. For the contrasting one, usually we use for discussion. You always use but there are too many buts. Okay, it's not good to keep on using but. You can use in contrast. Otherwise, conversely, on the other hand, in spite of, okay, despite, and so on. Okay, here I can add more, like what is more, so on. Okay, so there are many words that you can use. Okay, so don't always use the same common words. Like Malaysian students, we usually use and but. Okay, so let me tell you again. This is usually for discussion essay. This is more towards explanation essay. Okay, so for example, let us go back to our essay. For example, lots. Okay, give me an example in your Microsoft Teams as usual. And here I don't want to use back example, so for instance, give me an example there. Then I will determine whether it's correct or not. Okay, maybe you can think about, for example, we look at what? All goods and services. And here we look at goods. One good. But you have to elaborate. Not like what I'm typing here. I'm typing here in short form. Everything must be in complete sentence. Okay? Third thing being, what's my third thing? Oh yeah. Okay? Link. Last thing. Last thing being linking back. So after you give some explanation, some examples, so the last thing is link back to the question. Okay? So this is so you usually if we want to go to the last point, we will use results. Keep on using so is not a good choice, so we can use as a result. Therefore, hence, thus, What else? In conclusion, is not a result. It's not to show results. All these are to show actually the effects, not the conclusion. Conclusion, we only have few. In conclusion, this one is for last paragraph when you want to link back. Okay, to sum up. In summary, something like that. Very few. Okay. So let us continue again. Therefore, I use therefore. For example, all goods and services, the price of goods and services, the price level of goods and services, not the price of goods and services. The price level of goods and services is the macroeconomics, and what we study in macroeconomics. Therefore, okay, macroeconomics, again, we want to paraphrase, looks at the bigger picture. Okay, macroeconomics tend to analyze the allocation of resources in terms of a bigger scope. So this is how you may paraphrase your decision maker of a government of a country as a whole. Okay, in here I don't want to use therefore, I might use hence microeconomics tend to analyze the allocation of resources in terms of a smaller scope. Okay, you can see if you paraphrase one time, you can use it for both the micro and macroeconomics easily. Okay, and usually if we want to write the difference, we have to use the contrasting words. So these are some contrasting words that I showed just now. You might use conversely, because they are two different things. Okay, so just extend this essay, and then this will be your answer for the question. Not only for 4 marks question, you can use it for a 6 marks question. Okay, that one is for question 2. For question 3, as you can see, this is a 5 marks question. Sometimes when we do essay, we also need to look at the marks. Okay, 5 marks doesn't mean you only write 5 sentences, because 3 of your sentences might be wrong. So what you need to do is at least write 10 sentences. Even though this is a short answer, maybe it can become an essay. So let us list out some of the macroeconomic goals that you already learned. The first one, of course, the first thing is to define macroeconomics. Okay, must remember to define macroeconomics, because this is another question. All these questions will not repeat, okay? So it will only come out with one question in this topic. So you have to define the macroeconomics, like what I showed just now. So macroeconomic goals. After you do introduction, other than definition, in introduction you should also include a structure. What is a structure? The structure is also part of the first paragraph of essay. Okay, what is a structure? So the structure may include like that. There are 5 macroeconomic goals. Okay, they include, the structure is what you're going to write for the rest of your essay. They include price stabilization. When I write price here, actually it means price level stabilization. Economic growth. Okay, what else did we learn? Please write in your Microsoft Teams there to indicate you already learned. Okay, let's start with the first one. So I will write everything like in terms of essay. This is the first paragraph. Let me input this. So this is usually in the first paragraph, okay? This is for first paragraph. First paragraph. Okay. So for second paragraph is where you start your first. So you don't only write like price stabilization. You must write write a complete sentence. Macroeconomics goals is price level stabilization. Okay, going back, this is just one of your point. What we need to do, look at the explanation. So the second part is explain. So like I say, you not only need to explain the definition, you also have to explain all your points. This means what? This means a government aim for a relatively low and stable positive inflation. Okay, it must be low and stable, positive. It cannot be negative inflation. Negative inflation is basically deflation. Deflation is not good for the economy. So low and stable, positive inflation. But the government still like a little bit of inflation. Okay, they don't like zero inflation. You will learn why later. So low and stable, positive inflation. Some people might not know what do you mean by that. Okay, inflation must be between 1% and 3%. Okay, so what you learn after that, after explanation, what you need to do, look again my DDL model, DDL. Okay, diagrams also. So sorry, we haven't done diagrams. Later on you can add examples. So we give examples. For instance, okay, the mushroom land is a country, okay, in Sonic. Mushroom land Prime Minister might think that Mushroom land Prime Minister, which is maybe Sonic, might think that 2% inflation is what the country may want to achieve. Okay. Therefore Sonic will use contractionary policies to achieve the 2% target. Okay, so what did I do wrongly here? In a formal essay, we should not write symbols or short form. So I have to change this to percent as in full words. Same for the short form, as in like you cannot write can't. Okay, in a formal essay you must write cannot, something like that. Okay, so I change all this to percent. So you just show off some of your knowledge by using contractionary policies. Don't need to elaborate further. Okay, this is for you to show some of the knowledge. Throw some knowledge to your markers to wow your examiner, usually your lecturers. Okay, I use for instance, so I give a scenario. This is a long example, so I give a scenario rather than I only give such as 2%. Okay, then I still do understand. You understand what I mean? So this may be one of the objective. Okay, I'm writing this essay as in this essay is for 9 marks or 15 marks. You understand that? Then we start with second. Okay, you can see I link back a little bit. I use therefore to achieve the price level stabilization. Second, what I put here is economic growth. Okay, so I change a bit. I don't want to I don't want to have similar sentence. I want to paraphrase. Economics growth may be the another goal, another objective that the government want to achieve. Same thing here. I might not know what is economic growth. Okay, so again, throw a bit of your knowledge. Okay, economic growth can be measured using GDP. Don't need to elaborate further because you don't know. I make a mistake here. Should be using gross domestic product. For any essays, if you tend to use that later for many times, the word, make a short form like that after you write a full word for that. Okay, full terms. So GDP will be used below so that the examiner know what are you referring to below. Okay, so because I know I'm going to use GDP many times. GDP increase indicates that the economy is growing. Don't need to elaborate too much because you haven't learned GDP first thing. Second thing is because what I want to explain now is about the objective rather than the GDP itself. Maybe another. Yes, I put it here. So, okay. So I can also use another contrasting word. If I want to show two times, maybe I can use wow. Wow is also another contrasting word. So, wow, the drop in GDP will indicate the opposite. Something like that is good enough. Okay, again, after you explain what you should do next, give example. For example, okay, frozen land has a GDP growth rates of 3% this year. This means the country is growing. Okay. And if next year, another year, the GDP is 2%, 2% doesn't mean that the economy is not growing or it's slowed down. 2% is still positive, so it's still growing. but growing at a lesser amount. Okay, do you understand that? Hang on for a minute. So again, to show off your knowledge, you might add one more sentence. Miss Elsa, which is the Prime Minister or the President of Frozen Land, may use the expansionary policies to achieve the objective. Okay? So the rest, I would like you to write yourself. Try training yourself in terms of the another three goals. Okay? When we talk about five macroeconomic goals, basically we don't include the allocation of resources efficiently. So you should indicate the another three yourself by following the structure, which is DEDL. But because we don't have a diagram, you will start with DEEL. Okay, try to practice. Because this is your second week, I will not ask you to write too much, but this is how you should indicate or how you should elaborate your essays. So now let us look at the question 4. For question 4, again this is a 5-mark question, so we look at the marks to indicate how much we need to write. Government cutting tax rate and increase the expenditure. This means the government is using what type of policy? The government is using cutting tax rate and increase expenditure. It is the, I will wait for 5 seconds until you type in Microsoft Teams. It is the expansionary what policy? Fiscal policy. So for this expansion fiscal policy, again we start with definition. Can be defined as, okay, using your fiscal policy definition, we extend a bit, okay, as what? A tool used by the government to achieve full employment and economic growth where increasing. So straight we go to the specific one because it's expansionary fiscal policy. You should not define fiscal policy. You should instead is another word for contrasting. Instead, you should straight away define expansionary fiscal policy. Okay, we're increasing government spending and decreasing tax. Okay, then this is just a definition. So this means what? This means, so you start your explanation. What is this? This means government can try to use these two tools to influence the economy, okay, or to eliminate the fluctuations in the economy. Okay, so again explanation for a definition is not enough, we must start to explain tax and expenditure. So again, we give a structure. Our structure just now is government spending first. So I will give this essay a structure. This essay will attempt to explain the statement using government spending and tax. So now we start with the first. Government spending is the expenditure of government which may include what? Okay, again, this type include what? I already mentioned that in the PowerPoint lecture. Please tell me, what are those? Okay, then we start with the explanation. If the government increase the spending, okay, the sales of the firms will increase, especially for those firms which produce public goods. I use a short example here, such as traffic lights for firms, okay, for the government, for the government. Okay, so then we use the traffic light to continue our example or the essay. So, how to continue? When the government like what? Mauland, like the country like Mauland, want to increase the expenditure on traffic lights. Okay, the sales of traffic lights factory will increase. What happens next? Okay. Since the sales increase, or since it's another thing for you to link, is all under the category of because, giving reasons. Okay, so for the giving reasons part, you can think in terms of, you always use because. Too many because, it's not good. Okay, try to use since. What else we can use? Due to. Okay, as. All these words. Okay, since the sales increase, the factories have to hire more workers. Okay, the factories have to hire more workers. More workers will have higher income. Okay, doesn't matter. More workers will have higher income. So what happens next? When their income increase, they will start to As a result, use some effects, connecting words or conjunctions. As a result, the sales of other industries will increase. They will need to improve on their production. And what happened next? Hire more workers. Okay. This cycle is named as the virtuous cycle. Okay. Understand? So I give a scenario, and then I use the scenario to explain the rest of my story. Then of course I start with the second one, which is the last one. So I use the word last. Okay, actually, okay, I can use second because I might break down the text into two parts. Second, the Iron Man, which is the president of Mauland, can consider using text, using decreasing text as a tool. Okay, so tax, we have three perspectives. We just use two: income tax. Okay, if Iron Man decided to decrease the income tax, the disposable income of the citizens will, let's call citizens the Maoians. Okay, will increase. Okay, when their income increase, what will happen? Again, you can talk on and on the consumption will be rising. Don't use too much, increase already, starting to use other words, will be rising, and then we talk about the entire purchase cycle. Okay, last one, maybe we can talk another one for the tax also. Last, another option being to decrease the corporate tax. Okay, so when we talk about corporate tax, it's about firms. Firms might find that their profits increase since they have to pay lesser tax. Okay, you can see I never use I, we, all these are first person language, and you should not use second person language when you write essay. You can use third person language or use some passive. Like I see, you can use, it can be seen that what will happen? Please type in the Microsoft Teams and then tell me what will happen. Okay, so I will end the question 4, and last one is about question 5. Question 5, discuss the impact. If you search the discussing terms, discuss means actually debates. Okay, so instead of just talking about one way, you have to give two sides. Two sides may be positive and negative. Okay, pros and cons, agree and disagree, should and should not. Okay, so this policy that the government use is the fiscal policy. So fiscal policy expansionary one is something similar here in question 4, but now you also need to give some negative impact, not only the positive one. So the positive one being they hire more workers, employment increase, and then the growth will increase. So what are the negative one? So I will talk about few. Negative side being it will lead to more inflation. So you can see there's an opportunity cost for the government. If the government aim for the economic growth, then or employment, then they will have to face inflation. If they aim for to reduce inflation, they will lose economic growth and employment. So this is how the government have to make choices. So it's involved a little bit of micro, like what is the opportunity cost. So inflation can be a problem because once everyone buy the thing, the sales increase, then the price level will increase because everything increase, because everything will be subject to scarcity. So scarcity, you should know lah. When the goods and services become scarce, they will have higher price, and if the price increase for all the goods and services, the price level will also increase. So this can be one of the negative thing. Second thing might be, I will give you two only. Reduce in foreign investment. Okay, why reduce in foreign investment? Because when they found that the cost of doing investment here is very expensive, they might not want to invest, and this will lead to the negative side of the economy. So the positive side you can refer to here, but the thing is this is a case study, so you must remember to link back. Don't use the motherland again, link back to Iskandar